Hi, my name is Gudrun from GE Designs. Welcome to my live quilting chat, Tipsy Tuesday. Hey everybody, and thank you for being here with me. Welcome to new viewers. We still have a lot of people joining us for the first time, so thank you. And if you are a Hope quilter that took part in our Quilt Along, you're going to see some more Hope quilts tonight. Now make sure if you're new, tell us your name and where you're tuning in from. I saw lots of people joining in when we were doing the countdown, so welcome everybody from all over the world. We have Australia, Canada, the US, all the states. I saw Iceland, it's late there, but the hardcores are staying up. I like it. So welcome everybody wherever you are. On today's show, again, another massive slideshow for you that I've pulled together with all kinds of Hope quilts from all over the world. So I'm excited to show you some more ideas for more Hope quilts because I know they've been kind of coming. I know that a lot of you want to make a second one or a third one. So also, I wanted to tell you that the Stripology Squared book is now available as an ebook. We got it done and posted it already, so I'm going to give you some more inspiration for that book. I talked about it a little bit on my last Facebook Friday show, and so I'm going to show you some more stuff. But of course, I'm here to answer all your questions live, so make sure you post them if you have a question on any topic, and I will try and get to it throughout the show. So please use those hearts and the thumbs up if you're on a mobile device. That helps us spread the word about our videos and helps us keep going, making more. And of course, you can share the videos as well. Now let's see who is here. We have Linda, Laura, Janet, and Leah from the US. We have Kathy from Canada. Great to see everybody. Thanks again for being here. Now, we of course have a giveaway at the end, so make sure to stay with us because we have one winner that we choose live from the comments. So the more you comment, the better chances. And then of course, we have one question at the end where you have a chance, for those that are not watching live, you have a chance to win as well. And we had a winner from our last show. And I asked you if you ever name your sewing machines. And our winner from the comments or the answers was Dorothy Hagum or Hagum. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm sorry, Dorothy. But congratulations, you have won a $25 gift card to the GE Design store. And her answer was, no, I have never thought about naming my machines. So a lot of you, those were fun answers. And a lot of you were thinking, I think I need to do that. So it'll be fun to see you come up with some names for your machines. Now, who is still on a hope high? I sure know that I am, and seeing all your beautiful creations is just kind of invigorating that feeling all over again. It's such a thrill for me to see all those Hope quilts come to life. So let's start the show off by looking at some more Hope quilts. Check it out. aren't they all fabulous? I just love them all. And I want to give a special shout out to all of those that made their first quilt as Hope. And I have to tell you, your first quilts are way beyond what I did for my first quilt. You'd be shocked. But we all have to start somewhere. And if you're starting off on something like what you created with Hope, that's a fabulous start. And I hope you're hooked. Another shout out to all of those that I have gotten emails from and messages. Those of you that were in a funk because of our world around us, what was going on, or something personal, and this was a fabulous day, we had a fun day, and you kind of forgot about everything, and you got out of your non-sewing funk. So now everybody's back to sewing and quilting, and we're gonna keep it going, people. We're gonna keep it going because that is what brings us joy. So of course, I told you last Tipsy Tuesday that we were going to keep the donations open and through Mother's Day for the Hope Quilt pattern. So a lot of people still purchased. So we have raised a little more money. So we have $1,600 to spend. So I am excited. I will most likely be supporting, there is an organization right here in my town that supports homeless youth and young adults in the area. They always are in need of various things that the organization sends an update every week of particular things that they need. And so I checked in and checked this week's list of things that they needed. And one of the things on that list was cloth masks. And so I wanted to put a little shout out here. If anyone local is making masks, so I'm talking about Southwest Metro of Minneapolis. If anybody here is making masks, I would be happy to donate some fabric if we can make some masks to take to them. They also like $10 gift cards for groceries and fast food places, as well as toiletries and clothing. So I am going to contact them and see what the need is, and whether I go and purchase some gift cards or whatever. I will keep you posted on that. But it's a beautiful organization, all volunteers, and I just love when I can really see the effect, and on my donations are going to use right away, and I can see it visibly happening before my eyes. So thank you again. Thank you all of you that donated to those causes. It's a beautiful thing to be able to pay it forward. And just the thought of all of your quilts, most of you are gifting your hopes, and I just think that is a fabulous thing. Not only did we create so much hope for a lot of people with our money donations, you are going to create so much hope and comfort to those that receive those quilts and joy. So I think that's awesome. Now, if you made a Hope quilt and you haven't done a quilt label, I created a little one for you. So this is how it looks like. Let's put that up on the screen. Very simple. I just used the Hope logo that I created. That's not it.
Where is it?
I thought I put it in the folder. Okay, we might have to look for it. However, so where you find it is actually going to be on the website. I put a link in the description of the video. So it's on the website under a tab that says, I think it's templates and bonus material, something like that. So sometimes, depending on your screen, you have to go to a tab on top that says more, scroll down, and it's templates. That's where you find all the ruler charts, all the 1/4 inch charts, and all that stuff. So it's right in there. It's a PDF file, so you can download it, and then you can either print it on those sheets that have the fabric attached to them with an inkjet printer, or some people, I've tried it too. You can put freezer paper on the back of just white fabric and run it through your printer. And I have had pretty good luck with that. Just make sure you heat set. If you use an inkjet printer to print,
The label?
heat set it. Yes. So after you print it out with your inkjet printer, you heat set it. So this is what it looks like. So I just put the text I put on there. I said this quilt was made as a part of the Hope Quarantine Quilt Along on May 3rd, 2020, designed by Gudrun Erla. All profits of the pattern were donated to the COVID-19 causes, helping those in need. And so then I had left it blank for you to put your name and who quilted the quilt. And then I kind of came up with my own little sentence at the bottom. I kind of found some Hope quotes and I meshed them together and put them in my own words. And it says, "Hope gives you the power to find joy in desperate circumstances, to see light despite being surrounded by darkness." So I thought that's what was very fitting, and I hope you like it. So you, like I said, you can print it, and you can also, if you're making multiples, you can also upload this to spoonflower.com. That's where I print my labels, and you can just order. They can stack them, and you can order a fat quarter or a half yard or a yard or whatever, if you would prefer that. Then it's professionally printed onto the fabric. Okay, any questions on the label? Throw out some questions if you have any, and so we'll try and get to them. I'm glad that you all enjoyed it. But I'm going to move on to the next topic, which is, if you watched Facebook Friday, I showed you one of the quilts from my Stripology Squared book. So this, and I showed you Algorithm just because it has a similar beginning construction as the Hope quilt. So it's an easy transition over to that one. Plus it's a really easy quilt, fast, only uses 10-inch squares, as do all of the quilts in the book. And can be scrappy and no seams to match. So it's a beautiful thing. And I had such an interest in the book after Friday, so I pulled myself together and got it available as an ebook now. So you can purchase it in the store under books, and now it's an ebook, so it's in two formats. When you purchase it, you will get both what is it called? The ebook format that most readers, like your Kindles and your Apple readers and all of those, read, and then also as a PDF, just a PDF file. So you get both files. So the contents in this book. So in here we have 10 quilts. All of them use 10-inch squares, and of course the original ruler, the Stripology ruler. And this book, that was the only ruler that was available when this book came out. However, of course, all of the projects can convert directly over to the XL ruler, and most of the projects can also be done with a squared ruler. There's only two that you would need that 60-degree line for one of them, and one of them you kind of need the longer length, but everything else you can do with a squared. And all the quilts are made with, so have multiple size options, and they're really great for all skill levels. And I wanted to kind of give you an example of a couple of quilts in there, that one of them is probably one of the easiest quilts you ever make. It's a great one for if you do a lot of quilts for donations and things like that. It's really fun to do. So this one is called Locust. So I just wanted to show you the short video on how it comes together, because it kind of always changes the way we look at just a quilt when you kind of see how fun it is to make. So check this out. Isn't that fun? Such an easy quilt, but really fun. One thing I did notice when we were watching this video, the stickers were not invented when I did this video. Well, they were in my head still. I needed them, but they were not in the video. So that's really going to be a great addition for making all of these. But really fun. So I wanted to show you another one. So this quilt, I would say Locust, if you're a complete beginner, this one is an easy one to do. And then there are quilts in there. I have to say though, all of my quilts and all of my books are not hard. I would say all of my patterns range from complete beginners to maybe intermediate or a confident beginner. Most of them fall in that confident beginner area. So they can totally be accomplished. So this one also could be totally done with a confident beginner to intermediate quilter. The only difference is there's like a little bit of focus on your seam allowance being accurate and stuff like that. But it's really, really fun. This quilt is called Prisms. And so I wanted to show you that construction, how fun that one is. Isn't this a fun quilt? Yes, so of course the block looks like you sewed all these triangles, but you end up sewing how many? 0 triangles. That's what's fun about it. So it looks a lot harder than it is. And then of course square up all the blocks after the fact. So you start with a light square and a dark square, and then they will result in 2 identical blocks for the Prisms quilt. But I have to tell you a funny story with this Prisms quilt. I normally, I name all my quilts in the books and on the patterns, and sometimes they end up getting a nickname. For some odd reason, most of the times it's me that gives them a nickname, for all kinds of funny reasons. But in this case, this quilt has a nickname, and it was not because what I gave it. I received an email. This was about 3 months after the book came out. And this email came from this lady asking me about questions about my horse quilt. And I started racking my brain trying to figure out, I had never designed a horse quilt. And I started thinking, tracing back if I ever used a horse fabric to make a quilt on a pattern or something. And I couldn't figure it out. But then of course, I figured it out. So I decided to photograph this quilt with a horse. So this one is forever my horse quilt. Forever be, even though there's nothing horsey about it. There's no horses in the fabric or anything, but it's my horse quilt. So now if you ask me about my horse quilt, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Prisms. Okay, but let me answer some of your questions. Somebody was saying about the label. If you wanted to have it professionally printed, if you sent them or they sent you fabric, or how that works, it's actually just a website. You can upload your design. So if you download the PDF, you can upload it to Spoonflower, and then it generates on fabric, and then they just mail you the fabric. You can just purchase it that way. Okay, and so let me see if I have any other questions. No, I can't find any other questions on this. Stickers are my best friend.
Does Amazon sell your books?
Amazon may, probably carry some of my books. I, of course, always would hope that you would support me directly in my website or your local quilt shop over Amazon, because they undercut everybody. Okay, and then, do you quilt your own quilts or send them out to be quilted? My big quilts that need to be long armed, I send them out. So my checkbook does all the quilting for me on those. I do a little bit of my smaller quilts though, table runners and small quilts. So I can do a little free motion, a little, walking foot stuff. but most of the big ones get sent out. Okay, Judith is asking, I bought Lucy, which I love. It looks very hard. Is it? No, it is not. The tricky part about Lucy is the squaring up in the end. But again, Lucy looks like you have triangles and diamonds and trapezoids, but you're not sewing any of those. Always working with straight pieces, so that's great.
Would prism be on the bias outside?
No, never. No, this was a question. Will the prism block have bias edges on the outside? No, I can't stand that. So you will probably not find that in many of my patterns, if any. I can't think of any. So maybe one that was designed 20 years ago. But most times, no.
If you don't have the rulers, are the instructions for using regular rulers in the book?
So a question was, if you don't have the rulers, do the instructions include using regular rulers? And yes, they always do. All of my books and patterns include both. I saw another one on here about, do you use spinning seam? Yes, if I feel like that is going to help you in the finished product of your quilt, I will show you how to spin seams. And if you don't know how to do that, that might be a good little demo on a Tipsy Tuesday. Okay, so
Is Facebook Friday available on YouTube? I couldn't find it.
So normally we don't put the Facebook Fridays on YouTube because they are in our closed group. We do it when we do have a sew along or something like that. But we actually were discussing this over the weekend because our last Facebook Friday was not on YouTube. And after our discussions over the weekend, I kind of figured, because I always thought it was weird to call it Facebook Friday and then it was on YouTube. But after kind of getting everybody's opinion on it, I think it doesn't matter. So I think from now on, we'll be live on Facebook and YouTube for Facebook Friday. Maybe we need to find a fun new name for it. Friday Fun Day or something, I don't know. But so Barbara's asking, can you figure out how to do these with an 8-inch square? I can't figure it out for you because that would make me have to write all the patterns again. But you can surely figure some things out that are easy to just try stuff and do it. Okay. Any other questions? You see any other questions come up on this one? All right. Then we will move on to our next topic. So I wanted to talk about a little bit about your leftovers, because during the Hope Quilt Along, we did, I showed you how to use your little scrap pieces, the 4.5-inch rectangles from the 2.5-inch strips, to utilize your leaders and enders and create a whole nother quilt as you're piecing one. And a lot of you did. A lot of you made the Tony quilt already. And so if you're new here and don't know anything about the Tony quilt, it's a free pattern. You can find it on my website. You just go to the shop button and on the bottom there's free patterns. And then you go through the ordering process like you were just ordering regular, and it'll come as a download, so it will be in your account. And it's really fun. It's just kind of a larger crib size, I would say. Small lap, so it's a perfect little donation or a fun little crib quilt. Now, I was just working on some new patterns this weekend, and I had some little leftover pieces, but they weren't big enough to make a Tony. They only measured about 3.5 inches. So I, of course, as I was piecing it, I have a hard time not having a leader and ender project, and I had already pieced all of my scraps from last time. So then I started thinking, and I remembered in an old book of mine, there was a table runner that was done with 3.5-inch rectangles. And this book is old. I mean, I wrote this in 2010 and came out in 2011. It's called Table Talk, and it's all kinds of toppers and runners and things like that. And also has some recipes back, you know, all kinds of recipes. But this runner in here is called, there's actually a special chapter on leftover quilts, both leftover quilts and leftover food recipes. But I just thought it's great because I've always done this. I've always liked to use my leftovers to make something out of it. So I pieced this one little runner from my little leftovers, and that was my leader and ender project. So check this out. This is the jelly jar runner. And so they're little, just little 3.5 inch by 2.5 inch rectangles. I haven't gotten to the binding yet, but I did quilt it with the walking foot on my new Sola machine. So I just wanted to show you because this was the coolest thing. The walking foot is awesome because it really walks. But see, the machine has a laser that you can have a grid, and then you can just make the grid bigger or smaller depending on what you're doing. And so it kind of projects it onto your project. So I could just line the grid up with the seam lines and then just zoom and quilt these straight lines like nothing. I just love that thing. It was so much fun. So this is one of the projects in this table talk book, and there's other ones that are done. This is the one I did with using just kind of, these were scraps from another quilt. There's a couple of other ones. This one is also made with leftover 2.5 inch strips. So just real scrappy. And here's one made with 1.5 inch scrap. This one is actually quilt as you go as well. And I think there was one more. Yeah, I think this one. You just needed a little accent fabric. So it's fun. It's a fun older book if you don't have it, but I was just wanted to remind you, if you have this book somewhere in your library, this is a really fun one to whip up as a leader and ender if you have those little bits. And I wanted to show you a couple more that I kind of do that. I played with my sewing machine some more with Sola, and so this little table runner has been a top for, I probably would say, 6 years. I had these leftover scraps from a quilt I did, and that quilt is in my Strip Your Stash book. And so I had these, it was a square and a colored square and a black square. So I just sewed them together and then ended up piecing this fun little runner and never quilted it. So I thought I would try my Sola machine, the embroidery part, and have some quilting done. Now, it's a lot of learning I need to still learn on it because I didn't quite know how to connect them, but it didn't really matter for this pattern on the quilting, but I think it's really cool. So I'm really happy with it, and it was just a great learning experience and fun. Another one that is in my Iceland book where I use the leftovers from the Haldora quilt. This one has been real popular. It was hanging behind me during many of our live sessions, and I kept getting questions about this one. So these are just 4 patches that you can piece from the leftover strip sets that you do. So you just cut them, and then you just can piece this scrappy 4 patches as you are making the quilt as your leader and ender, and then you have all these fun little 4 patches that you can put together into a table runner. And I included the instructions for that. So I like to include instructions for my bonus patterns in many of my single patterns as well. So it's just makes it fun. And I just, when I have really pretty leftovers, I just have a hard time getting rid of them. So do you like to use your leftovers like that? So tell me in the comments. And I would love to hear about that. Janet's saying, would be nice to be able to get books that are no longer in print available as ebooks. Yes, and that's something I'm looking into, especially the ones that I have published. I, of course, can't do that with books that I am not the publisher. And Linda says she loves the jelly jar runner. It's really cute. It's a great little size, but you can really easily make it longer. You just make the strips longer. Just keep adding rectangles. So that'll be really easy to do. So Elaine says, great to have your presentations on YouTube as well. Reception on Facebook is not good. Much better on YouTube. That's really good to know. And I've also heard that it's easier to find stuff on YouTube than on Facebook. So that's really good to know. And so that's great. Awesome. All right. So I wanted to tell you another thing too. So speaking of doing more things, and we were talking about on Friday that my whole teaching schedule, of course, is on complete kaput right now, and probably will be staying like that for a while still. But I'm excited to tell you that I will be doing my first virtual lecture for a guild in the Chicago area, Chicago suburbs, on this next week. So we wanted to test all the technology if we were going to be able to do a lecture on Zoom. And of course, there's all kinds of challenges working with a software like that or an app like that. So I wanted to be able to use my external cameras so that you can really see stuff. And then of course, connecting it with my slideshows and videos and things. That's how I do my presentations and lectures when I'm on the road. And then of course I show the quilts live. Well, you're not going to see the quilts live during a video presentation. So that's a challenge. You're still going to see it on a small screen. So, but we figured it out. Mr. Honey Producer figured it all out. Let's not even put any of that on me. That was all him. Figured out so we can use all of our cameras. I can go back and forth to my slides and lecture notes and the videos, and then to my overhead camera so I can really show close-ups of the quilts. So I'm excited, and excited for meeting with that group next week. And so once we do it once, I will be extending the invitation to all the guilds that had me booked for at least through the summer and probably into fall. And those gigs that may have canceled, that we can possibly schedule and still do my lecture for their members. So
What guild?
that guild, I think it's the northwest suburbs, Arlington Heights area. I don't remember exactly what the name of it is. Northwest suburbs or something like that. So that'll be great. Somebody's asking, is that a new book behind me? Nope. Stripology 2 has been out, and Stripology Squared, of course, we talked about that earlier. The Stripology 2 book uses 1.5-inch strips.
Is there a pattern for leftovers on steamy windows?
Is there a pattern for leftovers on steamy windows? Yes, so that was in the book. I had a little table runner that you can make with the cutoffs from steamy windows. Okay. So Annette is asking, what was the website for doing labels? It is spoonflower.com is what I use. There may be more out there, but that's what I have used. Okay, everybody's wanting a spinning seams demo. That's great. That's great. It would be a great demo. I think I've done it before, but it's always good to have a pressing. Yep, somebody asked, what is a spinning seam? So there's my sign. Okay, Michaela has a suggestion, Freaking Fabulous Fridays with Gudrun. Well, that's a good one. We might have to think about that one. Put it into the producer's hands. He's usually very good with names. He has to sleep on it. Comes up with great names. And then Jean says, could you do a demo on a Quilt As You Go project? I've also done that before. So you can always go to previous Tipsy Tuesday episodes. If you have a hard time finding them on Facebook, that was before we were on YouTube as well, you can go to my website. Under the video tab, there is a sub tab that says that says Tipsy Tuesdays. And there the episodes are listed, and also with a little description of the topics in each episode. So that's a great one to kind of go to if you're looking for something specific. I have a question from Daria. What is the name of the machine you use to quilt the table runner? So I just got a brand new machine. It's the Baby Lock Solaris. So it's an embroidery and a sewing machine. So it has embroidery too. And so I'm just starting to learn all those things. I'm way beginner on that, but I'm excited about it, and I just had to try something. I'll probably mostly be using it for doing some kind of fun quilting, the embroidery part. So that was really great.
Were you thinking about Mr. Honey when you named steamy windows?
Oh, that's a good question. Somebody asked on YouTube, were you thinking about Mr. Honey when I named steamy windows? Possibly. Did I do that pattern before I met you though? Maybe.
That was Martha on Facebook.
That was Martha asking. Thank you for that question. That was a good one. Okay. So Anna is asking, is that book still available? I'm not sure which book. the Stripology 2 is still available. Yes, yes, yes. So they're all listed on my website, what is available. And speaking of making more books, ebooks, the Iceland book is on my list. It's actually a really, really huge file because there are 166 pages, a lot of big pictures. So, but still, I'm working on it, and we'll just have to see if it works out size-wise. And so Debbie's asking, how big are the squares in the runner? Those were 3.5 inch. And somebody said, can I see what is the fabric line? So this is your little sneak peek. So this is a new fabric line that's coming in July. If you want to see the overhead again, it is a motor line, and it's really beautiful. I love these various greens and reds. Very traditional color-wise, but not necessarily in style. So I really love it. And of course, like I said, I have a pattern, new pattern coming with using this. So you'll be able to see it on a bigger scale. Somebody says, I hate throwing away fabric, so I love all kinds of leftover projects. So let's see, any more questions from YouTube that we have to address? The comments come so fast I can't keep up. That's great. That's good. We want commentary. So Carol says, how do Tipsy Tuesday topics differ from Facebook Friday topics? So Tipsy Tuesday was always supposed to be more kind of structured and more tips. So there'll be a topic for each show. Facebook Fridays are more just like a check-in because I did it in my closed group. So it was just kind of a check-in wherever I am, because I used to do it anywhere when I was on the road teaching from my hotel room. And of course, kind of sharing more of my personal side. So sneak peeks of what I was working on. And we did our own little sew-alongs and things in there too. So, but you know, things change, and so they're kind of becoming, both of them becoming public. So we'll still kind of keep Facebook Friday more relaxed, not so structured, even though I don't know if Tipsy Tuesday is that structured, but hopefully, but that was kind of the idea of it. Jeannie asked, which book would you recommend for 2.5 inch strips? I have actually one book that I did that is out of print. It was called Strip On. Then I have a Strip Your Stash. That uses all of it is 2.5 inch strips. That is actually not published by me. It's published by C&T or Stash Books. And then in my mixology book, I use both 2.5 inch strips and 1.5 inch strips and 5 and 10 inch squares. So.
Do you have a cocktail tonight?
Do I have a cocktail tonight? No, that was also the difference between the Facebook Friday and the Tipsy Tuesday. A little pun calling it Tipsy Tuesday because it was more tips. And I always say, you know, Tipsy Tuesday is a more proper episode. I don't drink on that one. But that was a reason. There's always a cocktails following a Tipsy Tuesday episode, I have to say. Okay. Marcia's asking, would you consider the Stripology squared books patterns easy for beginners? Yes, Marcia, a lot of them are very easy for beginners. Especially that locust I showed you, the algorithm I showed you Friday, and then I would say there's a couple of more in there that are really, really easy. The ellipse pattern, and then also fractions. They're all really, really great. Okay.
Do you store your scraps by color?
Do I store my scraps by color? I do. I've talked about this on a Tipsy Tuesday episode not too long ago. I cut all my leftovers down to 2.5 inch strips and 1.5 inch strips if I have the width of fabric or half width of fabric. And then anything odd scraps, they get cut into 10 inch squares and 5 inch squares. So I store them all, yes, organized by color or theme. And I showed you the containers that I store my things in. And nothing gets saved, no yardage gets saved unless it's more than 1/3 of a yard. Because I just cut it all up.
Can you attend the online guild lecture?
So so that's the question. Can we attend the online lecture if we're not a guild member? So this one I'm hired by the guild, so I'm doing this for the guild. But of course, we'll see how this goes, and maybe I can just start hosting those myself. So then anybody could, you know, just get a ticket and get access to it. So we're rolling things out nice and slow, and then hoping for towards the end of June into July to have some online classes to join. So that'll be great. Jane says, will you do an ebook of Big Blocks, Big Style? So most of the quilts from the Big Blocks, Big Style are available in a single pattern. There's 2 that I have on the schedule to release as single patterns. And so there's, you know, not really, and then a couple of them I actually put in the Iceland book. So a couple of the patterns from that book. So I'm working on kind of repurposing a lot of the patterns from that book. Also from the first Fast and Furious book, a lot of those patterns have republished as a single pattern or kind of joined in on other stuff.
Love your shirt.
Oh, thank you for the shirt. So update on the shirts. I loved all your comments for the new shirts that I wore on the Quilt Alongs. So I have my girls just working on whipping them up so we can be able to sell them. We kind of had a little powwow with my girls here and trying to figure out which one everybody liked the best. So they're all really soft, nice and soft, and good options of sizes. So we'll have something for you shortly on that. Somebody asked me, you create such wonderful cocktails. Were you ever a bartender? No, I've never worked as a bartender. However, should I say this or not? It was always kind of my dream as like my retirement plan was to own a bar somewhere on a beach or close to a beach. And so there I could do my cocktails, and then that would be like a back room for quilting. Wouldn't that be a great bar? Would you come? Yeah, I think that would be fun.
Do you have fabric storage plans written down anywhere?
Fabric storage plans written down. So I do have under that same tab, you can find that Hope label. I have that chart that shows you how to cut your fat quarters into the 10-inch squares, 5-inch squares, and all of that. The storage plan, no, I would just recommend, I talk about it a little bit in the mixology book though, how I kind of cut my scraps down to all these sizes and kind of create my own pre-cuts that way, because I can just choose whatever fabrics I'm using for a quilt. We talked about it for the Hope as well, how you cut your fat quarters into those units. But not really have it written down anywhere, but I would just suggest finding that Tipsy episode and looking at that. Okay, I think I want to try and move on to the next topic. I know you have all been asking for another quilt along, sew along, and so I'm hearing you loud and clear. There's just some things I need to take care of and need to do first, and this one is actually really going to benefit all of you, especially Tipsy Tuesday viewers. So you are not going to want to miss the next 2 Tipsy Tuesdays. So I was supposed to be teaching on a quilt cruise in March, and here is the quilt that I was supposed to teach. It was the Marina quilt. It should pop up a photo. It's also behind me. You can only see a small part of it behind me, but the Marina quilt, oh, it's not there. Okay, we'll put it up later, but it is in my Stripology mixology book, and it uses 10-inch squares and accent fabrics. And so I was supposed to teach this on the cruise, and I even put together all the kits for all the cruisers. I gave them options for doing 3 different colorways, and then of course the cruise didn't happen, but all the cruisers received their kits and are now eagerly waiting for me to demo. So I am going to demo there. This is a 2-block quilt, so I am going to demonstrate the 2 different blocks on the next 2 Tipsy Tuesdays. So I want to state though, this is not a quilt along. So I will not be making the quilt with you. I'm not going to do all the instruction, but it's an opportunity. If you like this quilt and you maybe have always wanted to make it, this is a great chance to, you know, take part in it, or make sure you watch those demos. So like I said, it's a 2-block quilt. So on next week's Tipsy Tuesday, I'll demonstrate the construction of block A and give you some of my teaching tips that I do in a class. And then the following week will be the second block, the alternating block. So then, you know, talk a little bit about how it all comes together. And I wanted to just kind of talk a little bit about, you know, colorways. Of course, my quilt that I did is all nautical fabrics. I had been kind of collecting all those nautical fabrics, and so I used kind of the blues for the this block, and then I use lights and reds for the other block with the navy coming through it. And so the navy is quilted with a rope pattern. I wanted to kind of see how that would work, and it just turned out really awesome. However, I have to say this quilt has been done in all kinds of fabrics. It looks great in batiks and all kinds of different styles of fabric, just like most of my patterns. So you could really do anything, but you kind of want to have one color story for your A blocks and another color story for your B blocks. And then that accent fabric, really just, you want that really to stand out. So like I said, if you want to sew along with us, that's fabulous. Have that opportunity to get my little demo. You can always go back to the episode and rewind and go through it. But I'm not going to do it like a strip along or like a sew along where I take you through all the cutting and everything. But so you would just need to have the book, the Stripology Mixology, which is also available as an ebook. And then some fabric. And so I just so happen to have some kits in the store for this quilt. And so I wanted to show you which ones we have. These are the same kits that the cruisers had the opportunity to purchase. So this one, and it's for the twin size, which is 73.5 by 94.5, so a large twin size. And so this one has very similar colors and kind of nautical fabrics like my quilt, so reds and whites and blues in here, light and dark, and then it has the dark navy and the white for the accent, and then a fun stripe for the binding. And then the other colorway that we have in the store is the tropical reef colorway, and this one is really bright and fun. So I'm going to show you. So you would use kind of the blues. I'll have to pull this out. You would kind of use all of these fun blues, tropical blues for the A blocks, and then with a pink accent. And then other colors would be those pinks and all kinds of really bright coral reef colors, and using a blue as an accent on those, and then a really fun stripe for binding. So those are the two kits I have. Now, of course, I don't have endless amounts of kits, so I'm sure they're going to be gone. But I wanted to show you, of course, you can always cut your own squares. And I have two different kind of nautical themed stash builder bundles that are available. So we have the Philosophiel bundle that we are actually getting more of too this week, and that has all the kind of nautical fabrics. We had to Google to see what that meant. So this word means a lover of the sea. So I think that's really perfect. And then the other one we have is the Sail Away bundle. So again, very similar, fun nautical fabrics. Actually, same as a lot of the fabrics that I used in my quilt. So that is something to look forward to, hopefully. And if you want to participate, you totally can. So not a sew along, but a demo. So that's great. Okay, so let's see if we have any questions on that. Will you be getting the shark fabric bundle back in stock? Unfortunately, no, because I had been collecting those shark themed fabrics for a long time. So I did try and look and see to find any, and they were all gone. Kathy says, if you buy 2 twins, is it enough to make a king? Yes. It's actually exactly enough. And when I do my kits, especially for, we were going to be out to sea, there is extra squares in there. There's, if you do make a mistake on one, it's not exactly the amount of squares that you need. So there's extra. Yeah, and 2 twins make the queen, pretty much exactly. And if you wanted to make the queen, it's like a 1.5 twin size. Where can we find Marina? Marina is in the Stripology Mixology book. So that's, you would need the book to have all the instructions for the cutting and the fabrics and the yardage and all that. So Jean is asking, I'm gathering fabrics for Marina as we travel and camp in the U.S. A little behind as quarantine, but hopefully soon back on track. That's great. So then you have a little free demo on that. So Debbie's asking, how much fabric would we need? Is the pattern available in a PDF online? So it's not available as a single pattern, but the book is available as an ebook. So you can totally get that if you're somewhere else. Okay, so somebody already has fabric ready. That's awesome. Okay, that's really great. So yeah, I just think this quilt's really, if you like that nautical feel, I think it looks really good on a bed. Very kind of striking design, and you can really show off directional fabrics and show off kind of novelty fabrics in with that pattern. And it's really easy and fun to make. So if you're a beginner, this is a great one. It's a great one for you, especially I'm going to take you through it. So Tina says, can you purchase the Marina pattern separately? No, not at this time. It's just in the book. That's something I possibly might consider, like when we did the Stella Quilt Along when the book came out. I offered it also as an individual download, so maybe we'll do that for just this purpose. So I'll give you an update on that on Friday if we decide to do that. However, the book, though, there's a lot of good stuff in there. Okay, any more questions?
How much fabric do we need for the Marina if you're using your own?
So the Marina will tell you how many squares you need. And so, you know, you can just cut from whatever you have. So the fabric requirements are all in the pattern showing for the different sizes. So there's 3 or 4 sizes, I believe. And it will tell you how many squares. I think it's 4 sizes. But, you know, I talk about in the beginning of the book how you can cut your squares. And so if you use the bundles, you obviously will only use 10 inches. Then you have 8 inches left, which you could cut your strips, 2.5-inch strips for another project, or just save them like that, 5-inch squares for a runner to match or whatever.
What's that runner right there behind red, white, and blue?
What's this runner? Somebody's asking about this runner. This is a Fast and Furious Club project. That was our April project. It's called Low Tide Table Runner. Lori says, my son saw my Hope quilt and requested one of his own, so I will watch the next 2 Tipsy Tuesday, but we will be working on a second Hope quilt. That's great. That's awesome. Somebody's asking for prices on the kits. I didn't look. They're about 100, I think, $104.95 for the twin size kits. So, you know, if you're thinking about bundles, out of a 12-piece stash builder bundle, you will be able to get 48 squares. So you can totally do that.
Where can they find the Hope label?
Where can we find the Hope label? The link is in the description on my website under bonus material, templates and bonus material. All right, so let's choose a live winner. Do we have that one ready?
Yeah.
Mr. Producer? So
That's not right.
that was our other winner.
It's Gudrun Born from Austria.
Oh, Gudrun Born. Gudrun! Congratulations, she's from Austria. You're our winner, so you can go shopping. You get a $25 gift card in the online store, so congrats. And we have some digital products, so no shipping involved, so that's really great. Okay, I wanted to give you an update on some of the fabric that we've been reordering and coming. So first off, Brightly Blooming bundles are being cut. I'm going to put them here so you can see in the overhead. And so is Gypsy Soul. They're both being folded and cut right now. So this is the one I used for one of my Hope quilts, and then Gypsy Soul is the one we came out right after the Hope Quilt Along, and it sold out so fast. I got one of the questions I got last week on Tipsy Tuesday when I'm showing a new bundle, if I would show if I got any 1-yarders that would fit well with it. So we actually got 3 different grunge colors that go with the Gypsy Soul line, because grunge is it's designed by Basic Gray, and so is this fabric line. So there's three different grunges that go with this line. There's this blue, and we have kind of a pinkish tone, and then there's a light green one, kind of a mint green one that really coordinates perfectly with this pattern. So they're all available in the shop as 1-yarders. And then I wanted to show you we have some new bundles. Well, first off, our stripe bundle is back in stock. This one is great for bindings. I love it for little borders and stuff like that to really give your dimension, and perfect for bindings for little stuff. And then we have a pink and an orange. So some of our basic bundles that we have rolling all of the time. So, you know, we have a red and a blue and a navy and a black and a gray and all that stuff. We now have a pink, shades of pink, and shades of orange. So I like to kind of put them together, going from, you know, with all the different shades, lights to darks. And so these two are brand new in the store, the orange and the pink. And then we actually got a shipment of some layer cakes and charms today. Our first Christmas. Well, not our first. We sold out of the first one. So this is Country Christmas by Bunny Hill. We got a few layer cakes and some charm squares. I love this. It's because the motifs are rather small. So this is perfect for some of the little patterns. Like I just thought how fun as a little Kim or a little Kira or any of those, because their motifs are small. And then of course the layer cake as well. And then they're just this red, ivory, and gray, so really kind of a controlled colorway. So really pretty, cutesy stuff, like Anne does with Bunny Hill all the time. And I have one more new product that we're kind of excited about, because as you know, we just sell the bundles, which are half-yard bundles, and then we do our 1 yard. So we're not a quilt shop, so we don't really always use up the whole bolt. So we have remnants. We have these stacks and stacks of remnants. So I've always wanted to say, because you know, these are great remnants. So I can't put them all in my stash. Believe me, there's a few of them, lots of them that go there. However, they're great fabrics, and sometimes they're just like the perfect assortment if somebody doesn't really have a big stash. So I've always wanted to put together some kind of remnant bags. And we finally just came up with a perfect name. I wanted to name them something different. And my daughter came up with this name. So we're calling them our Forget-Me-Nots remnant bags. So in here, you will get a total of 3 yards. So they're all full with the fabric, but 3 yards. And so they're all kinds of fun stuff, but good quilt shop quality fabrics, just, you know, remnants from our 1 yards and from our bundles. So we just put a bunch of those in the store, and yeah, so they're, you know, each fabric is not the same width, of course. So sometimes you get a short width, others are a little wider, but really great if you want to just build up your stash and get some more variety. So I just love this name, you know, Forget-Me-Nots, because we are fabric too, and we need to be made into quilts. I just thought that was perfect. So let's just check real quick if we have any other questions before we finish up tonight. We also have, you know, talking about the bundles, we got more chartreuse in, and more red and green and all kinds of bundles is that. So Kelly's asking, when will your next year of Fast and Furious start? So we do a 9-month season. So it goes from September through May, and take the summer off. Or use the summer to catch up if you can't keep it up. When do we get shirts? If somebody's asking, I'm working on that, so I'll give you an update on that when we can have those available. We might do it, you know, it's always hard to guess with shirt sizes and stuff. So how we might do it is we'll put them up as a pre-order. So about 2 weeks before we actually ship them, so we can kind of get an idea of what sizes to order. So somebody wants to show the book again for the Marina. It is the Stripology Mixology book. And yeah, so this one is it. So there are 13 patterns in here and 13 cocktail recipes. Okay. So Lois is asking, how do you feel about team fabric for the Marina? That is awesome. That's a perfect. I've actually seen a quilt done with team fabrics. School color fabrics, really great for that one. Because like I said, it's really striking. The pieces are big, so it really shows off fabric. Okay, any other questions? Show the book one more time. Stripology Mixology.
That's where Marina is.
This is where Marina is. This is where you find Marina and 12 other ones. The really great ones. And so that's great. Well, hopefully you'll tune in next week. But we're going to finish this off with our giveaway question. I wanted to give you a little bit of an update. I finally got a shipping notification for our Scandi fabric. So it is on the way. So if you're waiting for the Scandi fabric, you might want to watch Facebook Friday. Okay, so our question for the giveaway, you just need to answer this question. What is the smallest leftover that you save? And so if I were to be asked that question, I don't save anything pre-cut smaller than a 5-inch square. However, I have a scrap bin that smaller stuff goes in. Now, if I'm working on a quilt and I have all these kind of coordinated colors and I have specific leftovers from that, I always try and use it right away, because if I take it and put it away, it disappears. So I like to use it and come up with something to do with it right away and do it as I'm piecing the quilt. But I don't save anything smaller than a 5-inch square unless it goes in the scrap bin, and sometimes I have to dig through the scrap bin to get to put something together. But that's just me. Other people love to do smaller stuff. So I'd love to hear what you do. Of course, I'll be live Friday for Facebook Friday on Gudrun's Quilt Crew. And then, of course, next week, which will be May 19th at 7 p.m. If you enjoyed the show, we'd love it if you hit that share button, share the love, and help spread the word for our videos, and we'll keep making them for you. But that is it for me tonight. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.